Attention residents, welcome to the lottery spin. Tonight's winner will be selected for relocation to the island, the world's last remaining paradise.
The Island is a new futuristic thriller from Michael Bay. Don't call it sci-fi though, because we have to remember this is the guy that brought us The Rock, Armageddon, Pearl Harbor, Bad Boys, and Bad Boys 2. So rather than being a sci-fi movie, this is more of a futuristic chase movie.
I think they're gonna kill you.
I'm going to the island.
Jordan, there is no island!
We've got Ewan McGregor, who stars as
Lincoln 6 Echo.
And Scarlett Johansson playing
Jordan 2 Delta.
the lovely Jordan 2 Delta, might I add.
She is lovely.
Very lovely. But this is not a sci-fi movie, kids. It looks like one. They're all dressed up in white outfits like THX 1138 and Logan's Run. But this is not a sci-fi movie. JD.
It's not a science fiction movie. How?
Science fiction movies are about ideas. Science fiction movies take some sort of modern society and they spoof it and they kind of like put a new spin on it and they make us think about implications, moral implications and things like that. This movie does that for about 10 minutes and then Jimon Hansu comes out, who by the way is a great actor and mostly in this movie says, "Go, go, go! Go, go, go! Do not let him get away!" And there's chase scenes, and that's it. And Steve Buscemi's the comic relief. And I really thought I was going to get at least more than 10 minutes of sci-fi. It's like at the beginning, and then a little bit about at the 1 3/4 mark. That's about it.
It was scattered throughout, actually. And
Was
I
it
think
scattered
I think you
throughout?
gave a pretty good description of what this movie's trying to do. Also, in that, I mean, yeah, it looks like THX. It looks like Logan's Run. It has that great futuristic stuff at the beginning, and unfortunately, it doesn't go from there to something. I really thought if he had gone to like a Steven Spielberg, like kept it once they escaped from their confines, if they'd stayed in kind of a desert-like thing and the chase stuff had been a little bit more primitive, even though it's a futuristic kind of thing, I don't think it would have gotten quite as cheesy, because they ended up going to a slightly futuristic but modern city with a couple of obvious things that make it, 20 years in the future or whatever.
But the idea was lost at that point. It really had just become a chase movie, even though they were like, futuristic cycles and, guys with turrets on the back of, jet skis that fly. It was still not a sci-fi movie. It had these elements in it, but it was more like, well, it was actually less like, it was more like Star Wars, but not as good as Star Wars, obviously, because Star Wars has a mythology. This movie didn't have any mythology. It didn't have any ideas that weren't quickly dashed to the ground in favor of big chases and big explosions. And it's so cliched to say that about Michael Bay films, but here I am saying it, and I just feel like I'm a broken record, but duh. I mean, what was I expecting? I thought he was gonna try something new. This was his chance to stretch, And what do we get? We get a lot of explosions. Cool explosions, might I add.
Some of the best chase sequences we've seen, really ever. I mean,
20 minutes?
The shots.
20 minutes?
10 years ago in Twister,
movie.
they tried to do some of these shots and couldn't pull it off, and he pulled them off in this. It's a great-looking action film. When it switches into Michael Bay action mode, it's as good as anybody, and it's a lot of fun and really cool. And I just think your expectations are a little too, like, what are you looking for? English patient here? It's a fucking Michael Bay movie. Like, have a little fun, would you? I mean, Armageddon wasn't like real, like, let's make sure it's real, whatever. It's a good time, and I don't think its expectations were as high as yours are for what a science fiction movie is supposed to be. It's not Star Trek. It's not real. I mean, there's elements of it that are real heady as far as what it's playing at. But in the end, it's just a Michael Bay movie where stuff blows up, and then there's the Scarlett Johansson and
I'm
Ewan
trying to say
McGregor
stuff blew up cool for 20 minutes. This movie was 2 hours long. That is not acceptable.
I'll give you that. This movie went real south when it continued and continued and continued to add on new endings that did not make it a better movie. If it had ended in a particular sequence, which I can't reveal for the purpose of not revealing, it would have been a much better film.